Welcome to another episode of Dream Lifestyles. My name's Alexa Kebalo Hughes, and I'm here with...
I'm Dana Flanagan, and we're from Dream Lifestyles.
Awesome. So Dana, I think that for this episode, we should talk about the housing market. What do you think?
I think that's a great place to start. It's certainly on the top of everybody's mind right now.
So let's get into it. What are you seeing out there right now?
Well, as we all know, it's just crazy madness right now with a lack of inventory. Homes are in multiple offers, selling over asking price. Buyers are waiving contingencies. It's really kind of crazy out there. I have noticed this past week just a little bit of a slowdown as we have come into June, which is traditionally what we see as the schools are coming to a close, proms, graduations, that sort of thing. But the activity on the listings is still insane and homes are selling so fast. So, what do you think? I mean, when do you think this market's going to slow down?
Honestly, I have no idea, right? Like I wish I had a crystal ball, but at the end of the day, what I know to be true is that the interest rates are still at historical lows. And I think for as long as that's going to continue, we'll probably be in the stalemate of a position because let's face it, there's so many sellers that are in their home sitting on so much equity, but they're waiting to purchase the next home because maybe they're not seeing what they like, things to that extent. But let's be real, once something major shifts, such as once the interest rates start climbing, I think a lot of the people that are on the fence of making a move are going to say, oh my gosh, I need to get moving right away because hello, who wants to pay an additional interest rate on top of what we're already having, right? Because that's the cost that's going to be long-term. Other places like California, they already recovered from when the housing market crashed. So now they're way above where they should have been, right? For their pricing. So for them, maybe they're overly extended as far as their valuation. Connecticut, I don't feel that we're overly inflated. So we'll see what happens. I mean, what do you think is going to happen, Dana?
I agree with you. I mean, I think that this is an uptick in pricing that we needed to see for a while that just hasn't happened over the last, 10 or 15 years. I don't think we're going to see a crash that we saw in 2008. I don't think it's that kind of market. The recipe is not the same. So I think this is going to go on for a while. I mean, it's basically been going on for, over a year now. It started with COVID. I think there are a lot of sellers that are sitting on equity. They just don't have anywhere to go. And, I have tons of sellers that have said this to me. They just don't know where to go. I mean, the rentals are scarce out there, even if they're making a move across state lines and, heading south or west or what have you. They can't even find a rental. So they're just sitting in their property until they see a little bit more inventory open up, whether that be rentals or, single family homes, condos.
At the end of the day, if you're a buyer that's out there and you see something that you like and you do inquire, and let's say you haven't even spoken to the lender yet, the chances of it actually working out, because to your point, it's such a quick time frame in most cases. A lot of times there's multiple offers and you may have only maybe to the end of the day or perhaps the next day to be able to get your offer in. So you are truly doing yourself a disservice if you do not take the steps to get pre-approved versus pre-qualified in advance. And I know your fiance, Mark, does a great job. It's all about making sure that the lender sits down to make sure the person is actually qualified to be able to move forward. And really you need that, not only the realtor in your corner, but that lender to say, okay, when we're offering in a multiple offer situation, we need to make sure that you can perform, right? The last thing you want to do is put an offer, go through everything, have the offer be accepted, and then either they're not able to perform on your behalf because maybe they didn't check everything, or maybe you overextended yourself beyond your comfort zone, right? So I think that's something important to think about too, is just because you're pre-approved for $1 million, maybe you don't want to spend $1 million on your next home. What fits your lifestyle? So pairing up with the right lender that can kind of show you, okay, these are your options. This is your monthly payment. This is what you're looking at. Because let's face it, no one lives in the purchase price. Everyone lives in the monthly payment. So really understanding what that would look like for you on a day-to-day or month-to-month basis. So you can kind of see, okay, maybe I'm offering $20K over list price, but I'm still comfortable at this price. And I think that'll really help a lot of the buyer's remorse we're seeing in the marketplace. Do you agree?
I totally agree. And, just to kind of piggyback on what you said, I think it's important. I've seen so many buyers, I work more with sellers than I do with buyers, but, I do have a strong buyer side to my team where, I'm constantly guiding, my particular buyers as well as theirs And I think that it's important that agents, set up the expectations with their buyers, but also that the buyers understand if you're pre-qualified in this market up to 200,000, you need to be looking at houses at 180. If that, if your max is 200 because you are going to be going over asking price in every single offer, and if you're looking at your max price, you're not going to be able to go up over. So, it's I don't necessarily love this position that buyers and buyers agents are in. I know it's really tough out there to be showing multiple houses, buyers looking at multiple houses, putting offers in, 8, 9, 10 times before they get a house. It's really kind of disheartening for everybody involved. So I'd like to see things level off a little bit, but in the meantime, we kind of need to play ball with the sellers and the listing side when you're representing a buyer, when you are a buyer.
Yeah, no, I think that's great. And it's true. Like a lot of my clients have been, offering with, inspections for information purposes only. Right. But they have to realize that if they offer that and if they don't like the home and they don't want to move forward, that's fine. They cannot move forward. Right. But it's tough, especially for a first time home buyer to kind of waive that right. Personally, I'm not a huge fan of waiving the right altogether of not having an inspection. That makes me really uncomfortable. I actually was right. I was representing a buyer where one of the other offers they lost to was a builder that waived his right to a home inspection. So he felt confident just seeing all the mechanicals and everything that he was fine to move forward. But I really don't recommend that for any of my particular clients unless they're really well versed. Do you have any other tips that you like to suggest for buyers out there when they're putting in an offer?
I think that I think just to get your mindset wrapped around this market and, set yourself up in advance that you're probably going to be in the situation. Try not to get, I know it's so hard for some people to get so emotionally involved in a property and then they don't get it. And it's very disheartening. I know there's a lot of talk about these letters going around. I see a ton of them on the listing side of things. I have buyers that want to write them. I understand the controversy around it. I sort of like them. What's your thought on the letters? Because I know that they're not favorable in regards to, ethics and so on and so forth. But your thoughts just on the agent side of things.
Listen, it's tough. As an agent, we're in a position where we have to always listen. We're always representing our client's best interest. And at the time, yes, and many times their best interest is to paint the picture, to sell who like they're going to love the home and this and that, right? Listen, if you do provide a personal letter, that could be looked at as steering or fair housing issues, right? And, maybe someone chose this particular individual because of their familial status or what have you. And so as a seller and a seller's agent, you're putting yourself in a really tough position by accepting the personal letters, right? Awesome. So what I was going to say is that before my dog so rudely interrupted me because the mailman came, was that it does put the seller and the seller's agent in a little bit of a tough position. So for instance, in a multiple offer scenario, let's say that one of the buyer's offers was not chosen. Who knows? They can come back and say, oh, it's because of X, Y, and Z, So I just think we have to be really careful as agents.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's, I'm seeing them a lot. I have seen them, in the past and previous to this crazy market, not so often though, but I actually had this week a personal letter come in. I actually was very emotional. When you looked at it, it actually made me tear up. It was very sweet. And the buyers actually went and put it in the mailbox to the sellers.
Oh, wow.
And the sellers know pretty well. And the sellers told me, and, the sellers like it, and that's the thing. I think even if we, we're saying no letters, I think they're going to just do what they want to do because people in this market, let's face it, they're a little crazy. I mean, everyone's a little nuts in this market. So, it's just the navigating it is just so interesting right now. But I feel like, those of us that have a lot of business and that have been doing this a long time, sort of, have seen everything and are not having as much trouble navigating just because we've been through so many different scenarios and positioning our clients, and sellers are getting ridiculous amounts for their homes, and kudos to them, because, if I was selling right now, I would be in the same position. I would get so much more for my home than, I have so much equity in it. And, the problem is, where do you go? Right. So, I think it's a great thing for, the housing market and sellers, and just, it's been on fire. I do think we're going to see the summer quiet down. I do, just generally, as it normally does through the vacation months. That may actually make it a little bit worse, because the inventory, I think, is going to go down. I've already noticed it the last week or two. So that's my prediction. I think it's just going to kind of be status quo through the summer, and probably ramp up again, crazy in the fall, but we'll have to see what the interest rates do too. That's a big factor.
Exactly. We'll all just have to stay tuned. I think the big moral of the story here is just make sure that if you're a consumer out there, having an advocate in your corner. I mean, just hearing, I love chatting with you, Dana, about this. I even learned, I've been doing this 10 years, you've been doing this 20 years. And it's even though I've been doing this for a while, I love these conversations, because I'm still just hearing you talk. I'm yes, this is why people need realtors in their corner to represent them. This knowledge that you've accumulated over 20 years, and myself over the last 10 years, that if there's one takeaway that for someone that's listening, just make sure you contact, your someone to be an advocate for you. I was going to say us. And we would love it if you'd call us.
Right, exactly. I mean, hey, you need a strong agent in this market, and not all agents are created equal. Some agents do 1 or 2 transactions a year, and there's nothing wrong with that, but they're just not, the experience is not there. And if they're not in it all day, every day, full time, this is their career, and you're in these conversations with other realtors, talking like you and I talk, and how we talk with other, top producers out there, it's just not the same. And, the strength of who's behind you probably isn't there. So, really do your due diligence when working with an agent. It really, really matters in this market, more so now than ever. It's about time. So always great chatting with you, Alexa. It's so great to be in business with you. I'm so blessed to be doing this podcast and be helping other agents live their best life and increase their business and their wealth. So we'll talk to y'all soon.
Awesome. Bye.